I'm Councillor Lisa Robinson, and here's my Robinson's Council highlights for May 26, 2025 Council meeting. What really happened, not the PR version. I'm here to deliver what the Mayor won't, the truth. What you got in his recap was a distraction, ribfest, boardwalks, and fluff. What really happened on May 26 was a series of dangerous decisions, backroom deals, and policy failures that will cost you financially, democratically, and morally. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the property taxes that were locked in now for a decade. Council voted for a 2.8% property tax hike every year, and that's just the base for 10 straight years. That's right, a guaranteed hit to your wallet, rubber stamped by a council that didn't even bother to ask the public first. I demanded answers. Where's the money actually going? Why is there no guarantee it will be used to even fix anything? And yes, I was the only councillor to vote against this tax increase. Once again, I stood alone in defense of the taxpayer. Here's what I said. This isn't planning, it's punishment. The City of Pickering and Council has failed to manage funds for years, and now they're coming for yours. No accountability, no plan, just another burden on working families. We also talked about internet voting being greenlit, despite proof of failure. Council approved internet voting for the 2026 election. I stood alone in opposition. Why? Because I brought a detailed report, case after case, from Ontario and beyond, showing that electronic voting systems have failed. People have been declared winners who didn't win. Elections have been overturned. Voters have been locked out. And let's be clear about something. Parliament and Queen's Park will not use it. The votes can't be independently verified. And it has already failed here in Pickering in 2018. I said that if electronic voting is too insecure for federal and provincial elections, it's too insecure for Pickering. This council didn't just ignore the evidence, they ignored their duty to protect democracy. We also spoke about climate plan built on fraudulent foundations because council passed a so-called Community Climate Adaptation Plan, built entirely on a worst-case emissions model, the RCP 8.5 model that has been debunked by its own creators. That model assumes that we go back to burning coal like it's the 1800s. It's fiction, it's not fact. There's no cost breakdown, there's no accountability, and there's been no public input. I asked, because they said it was community driven, I asked what was changed based on community feedback? Nothing. What does it cost? No answer. I said, this isn't a climate plan. It's an ideological Trojan horse. It's built on fear, dressed in buzzwords, and designed to centralize power, not solve problems. Next, there was the $200 million recreation complex that they want to move ahead while infrastructure is collapsing. Council approved spending another $250,000 on consultants to redesign a $200 million recreation complex, while our infrastructure funding shortfall is $32.8 million per year. So I asked them, why are we throwing more money at consultants while West Shore floods and roads are crumbling? Why are we removing the Twin Pad Arena without consulting the public? And here's the truth. They call it scaled down, but I call it reckless. I said this council prioritizes vanity over necessity. While residents struggle with flooding and broken streets, they're funding architectural fantasies. This is financial malpractice. Next, we spoke about the fire bylaws, which are going to strip council of oversight. A new fire department bylaw gives unelected staff, the CAO and the fire chief, power to alter fire services without a council vote. Think about that. I asked, why is your elected voice being sidelined when it comes to public safety? I said fire services levels, emergency response, resource allocation, now in the hands of bureaucrats and not you. That's not modernization, that's centralization, and it's extremely dangerous. We also voted to give $85,000 again to one task force. No equality for others. Council handed $85,000 to the Anti-Black Racism Task Force, but $60,000 of which is for vague consulting, with no deliverables, no audit, and no equity for other groups. I asked, what about Indigenous, South Asian, East Asian, Middle Eastern, or European communities? Where's the fair and equal process? I said, this isn't inclusion, it's exclusion. It's the quiet creation of city-endorsed advocacy funded with your taxes. Every community should have equal access or none at all. This is inequality rebranded. Then there's Bill 17, which is a developer's wish list. Bill 17 lets developers skip public input, eliminate peer review of reports, and blocks green building standards. Council pretended to oppose it. I called them out for not going far enough. I said, this is not housing reform. This is government handing over the keys to developers. And when the lawsuits roll in over flawed planning and unsafe builds, it's the taxpayer who's going to have to pay. Once again. Regarding the use of strong mayor's powers, I still don't have a seconder because nobody seems to have a backbone. I filed a formal notice of motion to rescind the continuation of strong mayor's powers and to ask the premier to repeal them, just like dozens of other municipalities across Ontario are doing right now. To date, not one councillor has seconded my motion. I also submitted 19 letters of opposition from correspondents from cities and towns standing against strong mayor's powers. I asked council to receive and endorse these letters. Council voted to change the outcome and voted only to receive them, not endorse. That vote told you everything. Their loyalty lies not with democracy, not with the people, but with protecting centralized power. I said this is a direct assault on democracy. Council is supposed to debate, deliberate, and decide, not sit silent while one person rules by decree. I also gave a notice of motion to oppose Bill 5 and a notice of motion to allow cultural and faith-based communities to apply for city task forces equally, with fair access to space, funding, and staff support. But Mayor Ashe ignored all of this in his recap. I said this city belongs to the people, not one mayor, not one ideology, and not one group. We are not a monarchy. We are a democracy. And I will defend that with every breath that I have. So while the mayor sold you paddle boards and pulled pork in his May 26 recap, council buried you in rising taxes, pushed through rigged systems, and ignored every voice but their own. I was the only one pushing back, and I'll keep pushing. This is the truth, no spin and no filter. I am Councillor Lisa Robinson, the People's Councillor. And I work for you, the people, not them. So if you believe in honesty, transparency, and a leadership that puts truth before politics and the people before power, then stand with me and follow me. Share the truth and help take back our city one voice at a time. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
Hey Pickering, it's Mayor Kevin Ashe. I'm here for my monthly update of council highlights of our meeting of May 26th. Very long agenda last night. A lot accomplished, moves the business of the city forward. First off, we endorsed a call for the increase in ODSP as well as Ontario Works. ODSP is Ontario Disability Support Programs. People that are in receipt of those monies live below the poverty line, and we've asked the province to address this, to give opportunities to people to live in a more dignified way, and hopefully they'll have a call to action that will be responded to. We approved our 2026 voting procedures for the 2026 election, which is, believe it or not, only 18 months away, October of 26. We have our next municipal election. And we made the determination to have both an internet ballot as well as the traditional paper ballot. In the 2022 election, 79% of you elected to vote by the internet. And we feel it's important that people get an option to either use that new technology or go back to the paper and pen and put your X beside your favorite name. Our waterfront is one of our jewels, and we're investing in our waterfront. Hope to unveil our $10 million upgrade to our boardwalk on the East Spit. But last night we approved the waterfront paddle sport rental services. Again, getting out on the bay from a different perspective and adding a new dimension to what might bring you to our waterfront. Nitty-gritty of government is important, and last night we approved over $3 million in funding for asphalt resurfacing, and that'll be spread across our city as we invest in aging infrastructure. It's equally done on a ward-by-ward basis, and we are very encouraged by the tender amount. Came in below budget, which is obviously a great news. We're also investing over $2 million at the Chestnut Hill Community Rec Center into a new skylight, as well as some other infrastructure renewals. Again, things that are important to keep our asset management program up to date. And lastly, we received the annual report and work plan for 3 very important committees: our Accessibility Committee, our Waterfront Visioning Advisory Committee, and most importantly, the Anti-Black Racism Committee. These community volunteers are doing very important work to give advice to City Council and our staff on issues that are very important to our community, from accessibility to anti-Black racism strategies, to, again, talking about the jewel of our city, the waterfront visioning exercise. So they were all endorsed last night. Last thing, I hope to see you all at Pickering Rib Fest, which will be held in Esplanade Park right behind City Hall on June 13th, 14th, and 15th. One of my favorite weekends of the year. I encourage you to reach out if you have any questions about city services at customercare@pickering.ca, or send an email directly to me at mayor@pickering.ca, or follow me on social media. Thank you, and thanks for watching.